With the BBC News at 10, I'm Anna Preston. The Bank of England says the takeover of the troubled bank Credit Suisse by its larger rival UBS will help support financial stability. Switzerland's biggest bank agreed to the buyout after emergency talks were held through the weekend. Concerns about Credit Suisse's financial health had sparked huge losses on global stock markets. The chair of Credit Suisse, Alex Lehmann, says the takeover was a bad day for Switzerland.
Today marks a clear turning point. It is an historic, sad and extremely challenging day for Credit Suisse, for Switzerland and the global financial markets. Since I took over as chair of the board around a year ago, it was clear that it can't continue as before.
There's been a furious response from Ukraine after President Putin paid a surprise visit to the devastated city of Mariupol. The port fell to Russian forces last year after one of the longest and bloodiest battles of the war. Mariupol's exiled mayor likened Mr Putin to a criminal visiting the scene of a crime. West Midlands police are appealing for witnesses after a 15-year-old girl died following a collision with a bus in Birmingham. They want to hear from anyone who may have dash cam footage of the incident in the Sheldon area yesterday. The retail group John Lewis, which owns Waitrose, is said to be considering a change to the decades-old structure under which it's fully owned by its staff. The BBC understands the company is looking at selling a stake to raise investment money. Hundreds of people have taken part in a scooter ride out in tribute to the late frontman of the Specials, Terry Hall. The Coventry singer died in December. Today would have been his 64th birthday. Riders set off at points from across the Midlands, finally meeting up in Coventry city centre to celebrate its musical heritage. Richard Willey was one of the organisers.
He would have loved it. I'm sure he would have loved it. As all the Specials, we've lost a few of the Specials. But obviously Terry being the lead singer, it just sent shockwaves through our community, and we're just here to honour his legacy.
Football and Grimsby Town's fairy tale FA Cup run ended with a bump as they were beaten 5-0 in the quarter-finals by Brighton. Manchester United won 3-1 against Fulham and Sheffield United beat Blackburn 3-2 in the other knockout ties. In the Premier League, Arsenal maintained their push for the title with a 4-1 win at managerless Crystal Palace. Arsenal coach Mikel Arteta said he loved the way his side was playing.
There are many ways to score goals, and all of them are valid, but there are certain goals, certain movements, certain patterns that when they come alive, that are beautiful, and it gives enjoyment as well, especially to our supporters. So really happy that it worked out today.
Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal coach there. You're up to date. It's 3 minutes past 10.
How do we are here, you are there, with Allan Beswick.
Did that bloke in the news call people who ride motor scooters a community? Good Lord. The world's going crackers. Good evening. How are you?
BBC Radio Manchester.
I'm Alan Beswick. This is the Alan Beswick Late Night Telephone Enterprise. We're here until 1 in the morning. You can talk about absolutely anything. It's dead easy. You pick up your telephone and you dial 0800 218 2255. That telephone can be of the old-fashioned style. You can even have one of those where you go... I'm not going to do them all. It's a lot of numbers and a lot of... But it could be one of those. It could be it could even be a trim phone. Do you remember those? Dear God, they were awful. Anyway, it could be any telephonic device you require or desire, but it can't be anything else. We don't do email, we don't do text, we don't do any of that stuff. You send an email, it won't be read, by me at least. If you send a text, it'll just sit there rotting away, slowly decomposing, and we'll have nothing to do with it. So there you are, it's a telephone, phoning. Bizarre, how very quaint. 0800 218 2255. Want to join us? That's good. If you don't want to join us, well, that's your privilege too. You can just lie back and think of England or Scotland or Ireland or Wales or any of the hell else you're listening, even if it's Colorado. Yeah, we got a letter from Colorado the other day from a bloke who's building his own plane. I'll not be going anywhere with him, thank you very much. 0800 218 2255. We have learned, haven't we, in the past few years that our police forces are, should we say, less than good at being coppers. And quite a few coppers are less than good at being decent human beings. Well, OK, I still hold the view that the majority of them are fine, upstanding citizens doing their level best to do a difficult job in difficult circumstances. But we now learn from the Manchester bombing inquiry that MI5 are very nearly as incompetent as some cops. When people in my line of work are not good, the audience, says, we're having to do with that, and they don't listen. And the presenter gets dumped later this year for me, as it happens. But when the cops or the MI5 are not very good, people die. I mean, that's kind of important, isn't it? Anyway, there's a row going on because the wife of a footballer has praised her daughter for punching a bully in the face. Now, it's easy to say it's wrong to resort to violence. Of course it's wrong to resort to violence. But there's no escaping that sometimes it works. I'm not advocating it. I wouldn't advocate it. But, if you're being bullied and your mum and dad can't intervene and the school can't intervene and the bully doesn't stop, where's it going to end? So, whilst not applauding in any way what the girl did, it's hard to criticise. And a story caught my eye in the paper today that I rather enjoyed. Scientists are developing a prosthetic nose made out of plastic and all sorts. Yeah, a false nose. Yeah. Is that your nose? Did you pick it yourself? Yeah, a prosthetic nose for people with serious facial injuries, and that's good. But it does give the chance for the joke. Hey, my mate's got a new nose. How does he smell? That guy was the best paid entertainer in the world back in the 40s or 50s, I think he was. His name was Jimmy Durante, and he was known as Schnozzle because he had a very big hooter. Oh my God, did he? Honestly, he had a conch on him. You could have picked buns up with it, like elephants do, but you often wonder what they do with them. Anyway, so Jimmy Durante, he did a stage show, he did radio, he did telly, the early days of telly. He made films. He was phenomenal. And he was a kind of, I think he was a French-American. Might have even been Canadian, I don't know. Anyway, there you are. Smile by Jimmy Durante. Doesn't get played much, can't imagine why, can you? 0800 218 2255. We're here till 1. I'm in a relaxed mood, so feel free, whatever you want to say. So what? At least I've got a voice. Unlike Gary Lineker, who didn't do his show this weekend because he's got a croak like that. It's telling they could have put captions, couldn't they? Anyway, let's get going. 0800 218 2255. How do Andrew?
Oh, Alan. All right, mate.
I'm very well.
I think it's actually disgusting, right? Our Prime Minister, that Yank, what's his name?
You'll have to be less aggressive about the American.
Yeah, right. Getting the red carpet treatment coming over here, right? And he remember that young kid that you got killed on the motorbike by remember her?
Well, I'm getting a confusing story at the moment, so it's difficult to keep up. We've got
Alan. She knocked him off the bike and she ran away.
Yes,
she got on the plane and she got away.
I know about that. I'm not having trouble with that. I'm wondering what it's got to do with what you just said about our Prime Minister.
He's invited him over there, hasn't he?
Who was he invited?
He had Trump. Trump didn't want not to do with it.
He's invited them over here, hasn't he? Is just about as meaningless as I can imagine. Who's invited who, where?
Our Prime Minister has invited him over there, hasn't he?
Who's him?
That Yank from over there, what's his name? That Biden.
There's about 500 million of them, so go and look for one. Give us a shout when you've got the name. Good night. How do, Paul?
Good evening, Alan.
Good evening.
I want to talk about...
Turn your radio off. Turn your radio off.
Okay, give us a minute.
Smile, though your heart is aching, smile. I don't know any more words. I should have paid more attention, shouldn't I, really?
Can you hear me now, Al?
I could hear you then, twice. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about HIV and how widespread it's getting amongst the heterosexual community.
Okay.
Yeah?
You're talking about it, I'm just listening at the moment.
Yeah, it's all down to mobile phones, I'm afraid.
Mobile phones?
Yeah.
How?
These websites, these plentyoffish.com and...
Please don't advertise anymore. If they want advertising, go and buy it somewhere else. We don't do it. Websites. I know what websites are. I don't need their names.
Yeah.
So how does a mobile phone spread HIV? I suppose it depends where you put it.
You can log onto someone's profile on a certain website, which I won't mention because you told me not to. And within an hour, you could be in bed with that person.
But you could do that in a pub or a disco.
Well,
or
not
a
really.
Not really. My childhood was a lot more fun than yours, apparently.
Well, I personally know two people. One's a very good friend, and one's someone I know through someone else. Who've contracted HIV through using these websites.
Well, no, they didn't contract HIV from using the website. They contracted HIV from sexual activity with a stranger, which is a risky business.
Which is exactly that's what I'm trying to make.
Well, indeed, but you can't blame the mobile phone for that.
Well, it's a conduit, isn't it?
Well, it's the means of communication, yes. But if somebody was doing it via letter, would you blame the Queen for having her head on the stamp?
No, but
no, because it's silly, isn't it?
You'd have to. Years ago, you see what they're doing is they're clicking on someone's profile, reading all about that person, their friends, what they like to do, where they work, blah blah blah, and they tend to think that they know that person then.
Well, but that's just their stupidity that's getting them into bed with a stranger and having unprotected sex. That's just their stupidity. It's not the phone. The phone is part of the machine. It's not the bed's fault either. And without the bed, it'd be a lot harder. It'd have to be up against the bins at the back of a pub like it used to be. I mean, the bed isn't to blame. The bedroom door isn't to blame. The stairs up to the bedroom aren't to blame. Neither's the 2 pints of whatever they drank before they got into bed isn't to blame. It's the stupidity of the individuals involved. The phone is the phone's just a machine.
This is why I've come on, you see, because I think the public are being stupid. They are being stupid. Because, like I said, you look on someone's profile, click on it, get to know everything they need to know about that person, and then feel as though they know that person. As in years ago, it would take you months before you learn to know about what that person likes, what that person's sex life is like, what that person does for a living. Is that person a player? Is that person a slag, if you like? Or, nowadays, with these websites, they're not taking all that into consideration. They're just thinking, oh, I know that person now. I've checked their profile out. I'm going to sleep with that person now, and this is, like I said, I know two people who've contracted HIV through sleeping around because of these websites. They've had 3 or 4 partners a week.
How do you know that the one that gave them HIV was one of the ones they met on the internet? How do you know that?
Well, going by the type of person that they used to be.
Here's my question again. How do you know? Are you telling me your guess?
Well, I'm not guessing. It's not a guess. It's just it's common sense.
Oh well, common sense. Common sense is an expression they use to cover the fact that they're guessing. My question was.
If you went to your doctor.
My question is.
If you went to your doctor's. Sorry, Alan, go on.
My question was, how do you know that the person that gave them HIV was one of the ones they met on the internet? I can give you the answer. You don't. But you are surmising and arguing that statistically it is probably the case. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Excellent.
If you go to your doctors and said, I feel I've had a sexual partner and I didn't have unprotected sex and I feel as though I need a HIV test or a STD test, they will ask you, how many partners have you had in the last so many weeks or months? If you said one, they would be like, well, do you really think you need the test? But if you said, I've had 10...
I'm not also sure that if you go to the doctors and say, I feel I need an HIV test, the doctor's going to try and talk you out of it. Because that would be very, very irresponsible. They may well, yeah, they want to know how many partners you've had because they want to know whether you've given it to people.
Well, I don't.
If you go to Paul, it was your scenario. If you go to the doctor and you say, Doctor, I think I need an HIV test. I'm still with your scenario. And the doctor says, how many partners have you had? And the answer is 1. In your scenario, what will the doctor say next?
Yeah.
In your scenario that you just described and I just repeated, what do you think the doctor would say next? You've had one partner. I think I've got HIV from my one partner. What do you think the doctor would say?
Yeah, do you need the test, yeah?
Well, no. Do you think he'd question it? Do you think the doctor would say, one partner? What are you, some kind of sissy? Get out of here. Go and get another half dozen and come back when you're really fixed up. Do you think that's the kind of attitude you get from the doctor?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what they ask you for. They ask you how many you've had. And if you said 10... they're going to say, oh, well, he's top of the list. This guy, like, he's had 10 partners, or he or she.
Hang on. What would he say? What would the doctor say if you said 1? Would you not be top of the list anymore?
Not really, no.
And so you wouldn't get your test?
You'd get your test if you've asked for it. It's your right to have a test.
Well, I don't know how much of a right it is, but it would be a very strange doctor indeed who said, one partner? Come on, are you messing me about?
Even that one could infect you, though, couldn't he?
Absolutely so. You make my point for me, Paul. I'm very grateful to you. So I say again, it ain't the mobile phone that's causing the harm any more than it's the bed. It's the stupidity of the people involved. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's the stupidity of the people. This is the point that I'm bringing up, is just to try and make people aware that just because you've clicked on their profile on Facebook or whatever these other websites are, and you think, I've got to know that person now. I know what he likes, I know what he dislikes, I know what she likes, I know what she dislikes, and feel as though you know that person. That gives them the false belief that they know.
Let me suggest a thought to you. Just a thought. I mean, you may disagree with it entirely, and that's your privilege. Would it not be more productive to tell people the potential consequences of unprotected sex, whether you know the person or not?
Yeah, but they're not using unprotected sex.
What do you mean they're not using it?
They're just having sex willy-nilly.
Well, Willie always comes into it without a doubt. They're having sex willy-nilly. But the issue is whether the sex is protected or not. Have you heard of the expression unprotected sex before?
I've tried it, Alan. I've been there, right? And
You've tried it?
I met one I've met one woman who was boasting all the time how many men she'd slept with. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I'm swerving this, like, and getting away from this one.
That is a wise position, to swerve it. But I say again, the more easy to understand message isn't, look, don't use your mobile phone to set yourself up with a sexual partner. But if you do, keep it down to 5 if you can. Just say, if you're going to have sex, protect yourself from the potential consequences of it. That's it. No matter how many times you do it.
Alan?
Well,
do you know how stupid people are?
I do indeed. I make my living talking to some of them, but do have a good night. How do Alfie?
Hey, right, Alan. Am I doing all right, mate?
I'm doing awfully well.
Obviously, it's Mother's Day today. I just want to ring up and wish all the good mothers out there and happy Mother's Day. I hope we had a great day.
Right, okay. Well, thank you. How do Shafiq?
I'm okay, my dear friend. Today, Mother Day. My mother is a Great Britain and my mother country, Bangladesh. Even God not divided is our Great Britain. One is Scotland, one is Northern Ireland, one is Wales, one is England. No, God not divided. Even Republic Island. I have a proven evidence, like a German-born city, natural proof of Islam. I mean, Islam first line is Muhammad and Allah, and the middle of the...
Shirin, you say you have evidence. What is the evidence and what does it prove? First of all, what is the evidence?
Evidence is a natural proof of Islam, German-born city.
That's not evidence.
No.
Yeah. Good night. Good night. That's belief, not evidence. How do Keith?
Well, Alan, I know you're not interested in football, really, but I'd just like to say I watched the match today between Sheffield United and Blackburn, and I thought it was a great game. And I think both teams deserve credit for the way they played. There was plenty of hard tackling, and nobody went running to the referee and all that, and I really thought it was a great game.
And who won?
We got beat.
I don't know who we are. Oh, Blackburn got beat. Right.
Blackburn, yeah. And all the best to Sheffield United. I know they have a hard match, but good luck to them anyway. Because, I say, it was just a great game. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about was, what do you think about these pundits? Do we really need them?
Need's a strong word, but I think forming opinions would be harder without people pontificating their view.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of them, as we know, they're ex-players, but they don't.
Oh, you're being specific about football pundits.
Yeah, pundit. Yeah, football. Yeah. And,
well, do we need them? No, but do we need football? No. It's part of... Well, that's the truth of it. Do we need rugby? No. People enjoy it, and it would appear that people rather like having others talk about the sport they're interested in. They get a lot of information. I know when I watch the rugby, the player part of the commentary team often explains to me why, in his view, or hers, why they did what they just did, what their attempt was, what the thinking was, because I can't see that. I don't have access to the whole pitch. I only see what the cameras offer me, as with football. You know, when I occasionally watch football, I see the ball get kicked, but I don't know when it's kicked. I don't know who it's being kicked to half the time. It's just being kicked, if you like, off shot, and it lands somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you don't really know, whereas if there's somebody there that understands tactics, then they can explain that to me. And I feel better informed as a result. And with rugby, which I know comparatively well, it's the same process. So, so in those terms, yes. And people like talking about football. Dear God, I don't do it, but go into a pub, you hear them blathering on about it.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, you're pardon this, you're an old man like me, aren't you?
Indeed, yes. I mean, it's better than being a dead one.
I mean, I've been watching football for nigh on 80 years. And there used to be, before television came on, it was all on the radio, weren't it? Do you remember a chap called Raymond Glendenning?
I do, yes.
And he was a really good commentator. You felt like you were at the actual match, you know. And he was really good on that side of it, you know. It's just that I think sometimes these pundits, they think us spectators know nothing about the game. But like I say, I've been watching football. I've lived in the days of watching Stanley Matthews, you know, players like that. And I sometimes wonder, do they really know what they're talking about?
I think they probably do, you know. I mean, the game that you watched with Stanley Matthews is nothing like the game today.
I appreciate that. But great players can play in any era. I mean,
that's what they say, don't they? But I'm not sure that's true, you know.
Well, why not? I mean, great players can make moves and things.
Well, they can make moves, but they've got to somehow find a way of getting the other 9 players on their side to work out what it is they're trying to do, so that they can be a part of it. Because it is, surprisingly, you might think, a team game. Yeah.
But I think what it is, I like a bit of individualistic play. You know, I don't mind if somebody beats a player like 3 times and then loses it. I've seen a bit of skill, but today it's just pass and move, isn't it? It's a different game, I know.
That's what I said. It's a different game, and people watching it seem to enjoy the explanation of what was going on. You don't, which is fine. But if I watch football, I'd need it entirely. And when I'm watching rugby, I find it quite good. I must admit, when I used to watch the test matches, I always turned the sound down and put on Test Match Special.
Yeah.
Because that was people explaining the game to me, whereas just watching it and a clue what was going on. It's some bloke in a white suit running down, throwing a brick at somebody who stood there standing still with a stick in his hand and hitting it as hard as he can. And I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And then people started to explain it to me. So I don't know. I think pundits are here to stay.
Okay.
Good on you. 0800 218 2255. Pundits, what are they for? I know, selling strawberries in. You've seen it not at the moment, obviously, but if you go in the greengrocers when the strawberries are in it, it says £2 a pundit. How do Neil?
Hello, Alan. Yeah, I just say the first thing. I've got 4 points.
Neil. It might be better if it's okay. It might be better if you don't shout. Because all that happens then...
Sorry.
No, it's all right. All that happens then is it distorts and we don't hear you. So
okay, then I've just got such a good mobile phone. I've held it away from me, you see. So there you go then. Right, so first thing I did, I spoke to one of the production team when I come on. And so nice and and I said, well, and she said, hello, Michelle, right? She said, hello, Alan Beswick. You know, she said, hello, Alan Beswick's morning. And then I said, can I speak to Alan Beswick, please? And she said, who's that? And I said, well, he's the person that produces the programme. Oh, we're laughing then, yeah. I said, well, I understand why it's so insignificant, you know, but I mean, what do you do? So, no, we're fine. So then they were a good laugh. So I got two puzzles, because I know Arthur, whatever, come on last night with some cryptic puzzles, but these are proper ones. Okay, so the first one I'm going to give you is a cryptic clue. puzzle, yeah, crossword one. It's capital letters GEGS exclamation mark 9 and 4.
I don't know. Yeah, I got it.
Well, I'm not going to give it yet. You know how
I'm not bothered. My answer is I don't know.
You know, well, give your listeners some time to think about it.
Well, you have as long as they like. So what was the second thing?
No, the second one is it's the alphabet from A, B, C, D, E, F, to H. You know, straight through. Then 5 missing letters, and then it goes from O, P, Q, R all the way to Z. And what's the 5 missing letters?
No.
That's a couple of puzzles for your listeners to, and I'll tell them your producer the answers and that stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna so a couple of jokes, related jokes, my friend, if I can, about prosthetic noses, because you mentioned that right away, didn't you? Come on, yeah. What did the snowman say to the snow woman?
I think I know the answer to this, but you tell me.
No, what did you tell me? Go on, this way. Go on.
No, you're all right.
Can you smell carrots? And then a chap went to a fancy dress party, dressed as a turtle, with a lady on his back, and the horse said, "Are you not going to introduce me?" He said, "Yeah, that's Michelle, your producer. I love you all. Bye bye."
Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. I love it when a plan fails. How do Lindsay?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about, the immigrants coming over on the dinghy, like the dinghy boats. I really worry about them because it's like, ferries that come over, and I don't see how they can manage to come over, if you know what I mean. I really worry about them.
Right, well, fair enough. It is quite worrying. It's quite dangerous what they do, but lots of them succeed. And I'm not aware, although how would we be, I'm not aware of any that have been hit by some of the major shipping that traverses the canal, the channel. But it is exceptionally dangerous, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how do they do it? It's just quite worrying, isn't it? If the weather's bad and...
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, when it's really bad, they don't do it. But they do it by knowing that they're risking death to achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, and if I don't give a toss, anyone can come into the corner. It doesn't, bother me. But it's just it is getting frightening, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's also... Can I have another topic, please?
Please do, yes.
Yeah, I was just I think cats are quite clever. I was looking at a cat the other day, and it was crossing the road. It was looking left and right before it crossed the road.
Right.
The cats are quite clever, aren't they?
Some say they are, but there are people who've seen dead cats at the side of the road. Perhaps they were the lesser end of the clever scale.
Perhaps they didn't have the glasses on.
It could be that, yes. Could be that.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, that's good. We're here till late, 1 o'clock. I'll do Mark.
How do Al? Good evening.
Yeah, we did that. What do you want to talk about, Mark?
No, you didn't say anything.
I did. I said I'll do Mark, and then you spoke.
I said I'll do Alan, and then that was it. Went silent. Anyway.
Well, I was waiting for you to say what you're going to talk about.
Was you?
I still am.
Well, first of all, you're still waiting. Right, I was going to talk about pundits. Why do we need them? Why do we need them? I mean, that chap who was on earlier saying he'd been watching football for 80 years. If he'd have put Match of the Day on the other night and put his commentary on, I think that would have been a lot better than nothing. What do you think?
I've no way of knowing. I didn't watch.
I mean, you don't like football. I know that you like your rugby, but if he'd have been on Match of the Day just doing his commentary, I think there'd have been a lot of people tuning in the next day on an iPlayer to listen to it.
Right. Why?
Why? Because it would have been a bit more interesting than no commentary, wouldn't it? What do you need Gary Lineker for, and what do you need Alan Shearer for, what do you need Ian Wright for? Just because they've all played football before doesn't make them give their experts at playing the game.
I can't answer the question because I don't know it, but I do know that the number of people who watch that programme and don't then just when the game's over switch off, but stay to listen to what those three former footballers is phenomenal.
I'm one of them. I'm one of those that I'm a football fan and I like to watch the games, but at the end of the time, I don't want to listen to what they've got to say.
So do you turn it off?
It's just their opinion. So and
that was their opinion. This is my question: when the match is over, do you turn it off?
I do, because I don't. It's not just about their opinion. Everybody's got an opinion.
Well, that is true. Millions of others, unlike you, don't turn it off. They stay tuned.
Well,
they must be stupid.
Anyway, yes. Apart from that,
you're the clever one.
What about the Eden Project? What about the Eden Project?
What about it?
We might not see it, both of us, because it's going to be now 2026.
Right.
That's if they're doing this week. Apparently, they're doing tests to the ground to see if it's substantial enough to build the project. And if it's not, obviously, that will delay it. There's been a massive injection from the government for the project. But if it all goes smoothly, it'll be about 2026. Okay. So that's another 3 years.
Thank you for the arithmetic, but I was getting there, and I had it written down. I was just doing the calculation. I'm fairly confident that I'll be alive in 3 years' time.
Yeah. Well, I'm reasonably confident. Reasonably. And the other thing was about the migrants.
Apart, well, let's just do one thing at a time. We've done the point. The pundits are pointless. The Eden Project, if it goes ahead, will be ready, you tell me, in 2026. That doesn't tell me whether I was going to say, do you think it would be worthwhile? I mean, it's not like Morecambe's got anything else, is it?
No, it isn't. That's always been my issue. That's always been my issue.
So your issue always has been that Morecambe hasn't got anything. But when they decide to say let's have something for Morecambe, you say we don't want that.
No.
What is it you want?
I think Morecambe is overdue something very fast.
Well, the Eden Project is plants. It of itself won't be fast. Do you mean it needs it quickly?
It needs it very quickly, or something.
And what does it need? What will help in your view? Given all the things that they've tried for the, you don't know, but you're quite prepared to condemn. But you're quite prepared to condemn something that is going to happen because you don't think it's right.
No, I won't condemn it.
I think calling it pointless is as near to condemning
pointless.
You think it's pointless. You don't think it'll do anything. You don't think it'll do anything. You don't think it'll do. You did say it was pointless.
Well, it's pointless as in it's not quick enough. That's all.
It's not quick enough. Right.
Injection faster.
So, well, okay. Yeah. Tell me then what Morecambe could do with that could happen overnight.
Well, it needs to the old theatre. That needs to be rejuvenated, and that needs to be. I know that's been a big long project.
Just as a matter of interest, how long do you think it would take?
Oh, I don't know, but I think there needs to be some smaller projects produced.
Smaller projects, right? And will smaller projects? Just a simple question. Do you think smaller projects will bring people into the town?
Well, it might start to help until the Eden Project.
What kind of small project do you think somebody will drive from, I don't know, Wigan to Morecambe? Let's go to Morecambe. Why? Well, they've got this nice small thing we want to see. What?
Well, Morecambe is only 50 minutes from Wigan. So
I know how far it is, thank you. And my question stands. What small project do you think would encourage people from Wigan and Warrington and Cumbria and all those other... Thousands and thousands of people go to Blackpool because they've already got stuff. So my question is, what small projects do you think that Morecambe could have that would attract people into the town? Just as a thought.
Well, I mean, the Polo Tower and the Frontierland that used to be the Cowboy Frontierland.
The thing that died on its arse, yes. So we've established that the stuff they've had has died on its arse and nobody came.
Yes.
So I ask. So what do you think? Just listen, Mark. What I'm trying to get from you isn't what you think is crap. I know what you think is crap. Everything that everybody's ever done. So my question now is, can you think of something that you will define as not crap, that will bring people into the town and do it in less than 3 years?
Yes, a steam railway from Lancaster through to Morecambe.
A steam railway?
Yeah.
And that'll be ready. And that'll be ready in 3 years, will it?
Well, of course it won't. The tracks.
Right. Oh, well, no, it's all right. No, it's all right. You're quite prepared to wait for a steam railway from Lancaster to Morecambe, which will do nothing for Morecambe for the next few years. A bit like the Eden project that you've just been saying was pointless. Pardon?
It will take people into Morecambe that are interested in
only if they get on the bloody train. And it won't be ready for 3 years. And your complaint about the Eden project was it'll take 3 years.
Yeah, but then again, how many people will want to go on the steam railway when the Eden project is there?
Mark, are you anywhere near a mirror?
I don't like to look in it.
I don't blame you, mate, because all you ever see is an idiot. How do Jim?
All right, Alan.
Very, thank you.
Good man. Well, there was an issue on before about migrants and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering what your opinion on that was.
I don't have one.
Not an opinion at all, no.
Unless I'm lying. That's what I said.
Oh, okay. Well,
do you?
Well, I was talking to a few of my friends a couple of days ago, and they seem to have relevant information regarding some of the migrants that are turning up and why there's so many of them.
Right. I know you're going to tell us what your intellectually gigantic friends thought.
My views on them were well.
I'm sorry?
It was a collection of opinions, really.
Indeed, I'm sure it was. If it was, and what was that collection of opinions?
Well, we seem to come to the conclusion that the migrants who are turning up in the bucket loads, and I do mean, unprecedented amount of numbers.
Do you know how many people? Well, no, it's not actually. They're considerably fewer now than there were years ago. But just for the record, do you know how many people a bucket will hold? Because you said there were bucket loads.
Oh no! Come on, I'm not.
Listen, Jim. You've asked me. Jim. I know, and I would like a conversation with you.
I do apologise.
I would like.
I didn't mean to say bucket.
Jim.
I meant to
Jim. Shut up, Jim. Stop talking. If you want a conversation, I don't want to know what your mates think. I don't know who they are, and I don't care. I'm a little surprised you have them, but I don't care. If you want to have a conversation about it, tell me your opinion.
Well, my opinion is, what's the use of turning
That's
up
a question.
So many migrants?
Here's my question. Tell me your opinion. Don't ask me a question. Tell me your opinion.
Well, my opinion is not really. Oh, what can
ring me back. Ring me back when you've worked out what it is. How do, John?
Hi, Alan. Just following up about the Eurovision. What's your things on it, points on it. What my point, what I'm following about is, I love it. I've actually got a ticket for the final.
Wow.
Yeah.
I should keep it in a safe if I were you.
Yeah, I'm not selling it. That goes against everything that, these people that buy it and then sell it next minute and stuff. Hate all that. But what it is, I was all for, England, the UK getting it, and I was all for Liverpool getting it. But then you hear later on that the council payers of Liverpool are going to be burdened with some of the fees. Now, that sort of grinds on me, because I believe that it's a UK thing and we all pay for it, and it doesn't just come down to the host city. And what do we what do you think about that sort of thing? As in one city having to pay for it now.
Well, it's the job of a local government to get people to come to its area, its service area, and spend their money by filling the hotels and all of that, and going in the restaurants and all the rest of it, which is why there was a brisk competition between Manchester, who wanted it, Glasgow, who wanted it, and lots of other towns had a piddly idea that they might get it. And it's because in the end it is good for the city and good for the economy of the city.
But when it's good for the city and stuff, now it's good for businesses, and that's who's going to gain from it. The local people who are going to end up with the bill, they aren't, they're directly involved, because they're going to be paying for it.
It will be directly involved, because those businesses will continue to operate, so that's jobs for the people who are there, and it's also business rates and everything else. Just so you know, by the way, the government pledged 10 million quid towards the Liverpool Eurovision Song Contest, so 10 million quid from the government is going towards it. And if it didn't make sense for cities to put money into these things, they wouldn't have them. But it makes business sense.
Great. So it was just, and this is why we have these conversations, in order to listen and learn and stuff. But yeah, I've got a ticket.
Listen, indeed. I'll tell you a tale, and you may find this ludicrous, but some years ago, Salford City Council decided that they would give millions of pounds. I think the figure was 6, which is a lot of money, £6 million to the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, so that when the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, that's based in Salford, travelled around the world, they would be publicising Salford, which may encourage businesses to move to Salford or open branches in Salford. And I know that it works, because I had the pleasure with a producer of travelling with the orchestra to Beijing when they were doing a small tour of China. And there were all sorts of conversations came out of that, and I'm sure Salford City Council think they got value for money by having Salford City Council all over China. How would they do that?
I hope we as council payers get that value for money, as in if the advertising goes on for longer than just the time that we're in the limelight of the Eurovision. I hope people get to see the real Liverpool. And
but that's it, isn't it? That's the other thing. You hope they see the
Liverpool. It does show up the northwest, and people come into Manchester and everywhere else. Because
but they will see Liverpool.
Is bigger than just the.
But all over the world almost. It's not just in Europe, is it? Eurovision. It goes out to Tel Aviv and all that palaver.
Australia, yeah.
And it'll be, look at that. Look at the show they're putting on in Liverpool. What a fantastic place that is.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, there we go. We've had a little chat. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Good on you, John. Enjoy the show. You obviously have no taste in music. Fabulous. Eurovision in Liverpool. Is that a good idea for Liverpool? Certainly in publicity terms, it's an absolutely fantastic idea. And Liverpool are already reaping the publicity reward. Whether that's worth it or not, I don't know. As for the government, I've just read, I didn't know this, I've just read that the government are putting 10 million quid into the pot. I don't know what it costs to put Eurovision on, but all the hotels will be full. The car parks, which are already rolling in money, the car parks will make a fortune. Liverpool will do phenomenally well out of it. The businesses of Liverpool will do phenomenally well. And you might think, well, who cares whether the businesses do well or not? But of course, the businesses are part of Liverpool, an essential part. And Manchester sighed a horrible, jealous sigh when they didn't get it, as did Glasgow. You know, you need these great big international events if you want to be a city of merit. You know, they say Liverpool, oh yeah, haven't they got 2 football clubs? And wasn't there some lads from there? They used to sing 60, 70 years ago. They went all over the world, just 4 of them. They made a fortune each. Yeah. Is that it? Is that what Liverpool's got to have? 2 football clubs and 4 blokes, 3 of them with guitars and 1 with a set of drums and some funny stuff on his hands? Is that what you want? No, you want more than that. Liverpool is doing fantastic. And Eurovision is going to be brilliant. I won't be watching it because it's hideous from my standpoint. But that doesn't matter. It's going to be absolutely superb. And like Manchester got the Commonwealth Games, they're still reaping the benefits of that. And so they should. It's just fantastic. And the BBC Radio Merseyside are doing amazing business as a result of it. And rightly so. They're up to all sorts. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. Just pick up your phone, have your say. We're here till 1 o'clock. And there's nought we don't talk about. And the Liverpool Echo reckons that Eurovision will cost Liverpool City Council something like 2 million quid. That'll be match funded, in other words, the same amount of money from the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority. Then they've got 10 million from central government, so it should be all right. And obviously, a lot of the costs, it's going to cost about 17 million. Well, maybe 15, but it's going to cost quite a lot of money from the BBC, but they're getting all the television out of it, so that's the kind of money they pay for television. The overall budget is less than 40 million. If you say it quick, it doesn't hurt at all, does it? But anyway, those are the sort of numbers involved. And as I say, there was a queue of local authorities all over the United Kingdom, all of whom wanted it because it's a winner. You know, it is absolutely fantastic. It's a winner. So, I don't know. I mean, do you think it's a winner? Do you think it's worthwhile? As I say, I won't be going. You can tell how popular it is. The tickets went on sale and they were gone in, I think it was 20 minutes or something ludicrous. That's it. They have all gone. It is sold out. A bit like one of my gigs. Sorry. Just having a little dream. You're allowed to dream. 0800 218 2255. Want to join us? That's good. Pick up your phone, have your say, talk about absolutely anything. We don't mind what it is. Well, certainly I don't mind what it is, and I don't mind how long you take. That's a great thing about late night. We've got time. We don't have to rush people. We've got time. In the meantime, we'll have a shufty at the morning's newspapers. Sunak delays key policies as Johnson takes centre stage. That's the front of the Eye. The Prime Minister has been forced to postpone announcements on crime, energy and pensions as Boris Johnson's Partygate defence dossier is to be published today. That's Monday, tomorrow. That's on tomorrow's paper today. Yeah, you got it. Good. So that's that. So Boris is already intervening, or certainly interrupting. The Daily Telegraph, cut price Credit Suisse sale to stave off meltdown. And that's two banks, isn't it? There was that rather specialised bank in America that went to the wall last week, or certainly went close to it, and now the Swiss, the gnomes of Zurich, for heaven's sake, are having to bail out the Credit Suisse, which is another bank. And we remember what happened last time when the banks went to the wall. Our government shoveled money at them as if there was no tomorrow. Well, the good news now is, in one sense, you haven't got any money to shovel. MPs accused of moving the goalposts over Partygate, so that's already starting. Braverman judges coming round on Rwanda, so that's the one of the ministers saying that the judges are beginning to think sending migrants to Rwanda is not against the law after all. We shall see. Putin returns like a murderer to the scene of the crime. That's his visit to one of the cities that he's managed to keep control of in the east. And, well, people are saying he doesn't belong there. But of course they would say that, wouldn't they? Daily Mirror, for mum and all those who died alone, actors and families want law to ensure COVID care home agony is never repeated. The government, it is still said that the government got it completely wrong. Lockdown parties' inquiries unlawful and biased, says Johnson. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? That's the Times. Toxic mech faces being broken up. The Metropolitan Police, which is the largest force in the country and is, well, is it too much to say it's in disarray? It's certainly not having a good time, is it? But there's now suggestion that it might be broken up, make things smaller. You get more control over them when they're small. That's the theory, because the people who run them are closer to those who do the work. You know, how many times do you expect a copper on the beat? Well, those are the days. A beat copper, as they're called, even though they don't go on a beat anymore, but a beat copper, ordinary police constable. How many times do you think he gets to chat with the chief constable, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner? I would say almost never. And if you had smaller forces, perhaps they would, and that might be beneficial. Daily Mail, Euro judges set to back down on Rwanda flights. Ministers aiming for agreement with Strasbourg court on the migrant plan. Same again on the Daily Express. Rwanda plan is Euro court backing down, they ask. And the Daily Star, polar scare, spring's on hold, folks. So there you are. They're doing the weather, which is nice. I mean, we need to know the weather, so if you want to know what the weather's going to be, by the Daily Star. 0800 218 2255. Come on, everybody. I suppose you can run it. I don't see many young people dancing these days, but they don't seem to come into contact with each other when they dance, do they? I mean, it's not the waltz or any of those others. Yes, the waltz, the quick step. It's not like on Strictly, where they're grabbing each other quite a lot. They don't do that now. They used to just do their own thing and then... Did they still have the last dance? You know, when they have a nice slow one in these dens of iniquity where people smooch a little and can I take you home? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe times have changed more than I thought. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Tracy.
I'll do yo. Alan, yo. You see, you keep distracting me. On the point of clapping, if I run, yeah, I can clap without touching my hands. Hey, so the thing I wanted to talk to you about is landlines. But before I do that, Beswick, are you there?
I am.
You know, right, get on this, right? A blast from the past. See if you remember this one. Hello there. Why is your nose not 12 inches long?
Well, you're saying something that is meaningless to me.
No, think about it. You must remember this. I bet your wife does. Why is your nose not 12 inches long? I bet there's loads of people screaming at the radio right now.
Well, that's not helping me.
Put it barefoot. Yo. Do you not remember that, yo?
I don't think I've ever heard it.
Of course you have. You're older than me. I know you have. Right then. This is what I want to
I think my age is not much of a contributor to the discourse of whether I know something or not. Go on.
I know. I agree. It might be something that's not worth remembering, but to me it's funny. Anyway, Alan. This is it. You know, do you remember I spoke to you the other week about the white thing to totem poles and that? Yeah, the 6G.
No, I never remember anyone.
No, well, that's convenient for you, innit? Don't be playing safe with me. Listen, Alan, right, phone boxes, they're stopping all landlines. So, all them people who don't use mobile, they don't do internet, they don't want to go into are being forced into a situation. So what I'm saying, Alan, is on the 23rd of the 3rd, 23, this is this month, yeah?
Indeed,
we're going to put out a warning to everybody, but you have to have a mobile phone to have it. Who's doing who here? Yo? It stinks, man. It stinks.
I think the date you were looking for was the 23rd of the 4th, not the 3rd. That's the 23rd of April.
Oh,
which
yeah,
will be a Sunday.
April, yeah.
We're still in March, but no matter.
2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Oh, no, I wrote 2, 3. Well, I'm only...
Well, we've established when it's going to happen, and they're introducing an emergency warning system, and they will send a signal to, I think it'll be in the form of a text, to everybody that they're aware of that has a mobile phone, and that might be everybody that does have one. So that is what it will do. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Beswick, if I catch anyone sending me any red warning, trying to blow my brain up, I'm paranoid. I've got bloody... I can't even get over the doorstep some days. I am not having this. I will challenge them. I will take their bloody totem pole down. I'm telling you, I'm getting my ears keep popping and stuff. What's that about, Alan?
I'm sorry, they what keep popping?
You heard.
Okay, I heard, and so I'll just ignore your question then.
Alan, well, don't ignore me, please.
Well,
I mean,
I can't answer your question unless I know what it was. And when I asked you to repeat it, you said I heard, so that leaves me in the difficult position.
I said my ears were popping. Yes?
You said
you
what?
You did hear that.
Tell me again, slowly.
Right then. What I'm saying to you is this. They've put these big white totem poles up everywhere, and I get it, but it's 6G. Nobody needs 6G. Listen, do you know the Nigerian that came on last week and he said to everybody, he said, look, this is what they've done to Nigeria. Holes in wall, cash machines, yo-yo, phone, yeah? And this though, it's up this is like 3-minute warning. I mean, I thought we were going to get robbed. Now I think we're going to get nuked. I mean, what do you think that's about? That is some... Why does everybody ignore it? Why doesn't somebody else say it?
Say what?
Oh, it's horrendous. They never said to us, do you want this, do you want that? Oh, we're going to give you a warning, it's for your benefit. Is it out for your benefit? Panic attack? Oh, I'm telling you, it's not safe anymore, Alan. Stuff like that is not right. somebody else is owning our... This is supposed to be England. We're supposed to be an island. I want to know who's defending our island.
Well, England's not an island.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The British Isles. Yeah, we are. We're independent.
The British Isles is an island. England's not. England's attached to Wales and to Scotland.
Well, yeah. Well, British... Well, you know what I mean. It's England.
I can't deal with...
Wales and Scotland and that... No. Ireland's not attached. Ireland is not attached.
England isn't an island.
Well, listen. Britain is an island, and the reason it's an island is so they can't bloody and this is what's happening, isn't it? All of a sudden it's been, you do know they're all coming over, and I'm telling you.
I've had enough now, Tracy. Good night. 0800 218 2255. Apparently they're all coming over to England, that is an island, and I think she said the totem poles were doing something to our knees. But I may have misheard that. It does happen. 0800 218 2255. Incidentally, if you're wondering what Tracy was on about, you may have heard already, but the government are going to try out an early warning system, and they're going to try it out on the 23rd of April, which is a Sunday, and also St George's Day, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And everybody who has a mobile phone is going to receive a text, should we call it a red letter warning, from the government, not saying that something is going to happen, but saying, we've done this, does it work? We'll get more details as we get a little nearer. It's only a month off, and we'll find out what it's all about, and they're testing it. And the idea, the declared idea, Tracy and others may think there's something underhand going on, and I don't blame them for that, because there often is, but the declared idea is that if an area, a particular area, is about to get flooded, if you like, by the weather and all the rest of it, then they can send a warning to that area. Maybe if there's some mass murderer escape from the local nick, that it can send a warning to that area and say, don't run him in that herbert with the axe, because he's a naughty person. Those sorts of things. Now, how precise I am in that, can't say, because it was only muted for the first time. I only heard about it for the first time yesterday, so what it will be, we'll have to wait and see. But that's the idea, that they're going to have this system, because they used to have in the war, and afterwards, they used to have air raid sirens. You've heard them on the film, that sort of thing, warning people it was going to be an air raid, and they just did it in the local area, and that was just a very loud noise that people were able to hear. But now we've got a better communications system, a more efficient communication system, perhaps. Almost everybody, not me, but almost everybody has a mobile phone, so they're going to send messages to people, and they're going to try the system out on the 23rd of April. We shall all look forward to that, will we not? 0800 218 2255. How do, Malcolm?
Alan, how do? Alan, I'm from beautiful submarine docks here in the 70s. I went on board that with my brother-in-law, not mentioning names. If any listeners can remember that, I think it was Crosby or Bootle. I'm just curious, though. I don't know whether it was HMS or, maybe it'd been Polaris. I just wondered, I've just been fascinated by it, if any of the listeners know.
And when was it?
It's sometime in the 70s, and it docked at the Bootle Docks or Crosby. Yeah. And me, my brother, my sister, brother-in-law who was in the Navy, went into the submarine, and I just don't know the name of the HMS or whatever it has been. If any listeners out there have any idea if that did happen.
Well, others, if it did, others will have gone on it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's just fascinating me. It's just to
if anyone's listening. Alan, I have a joke for you, Alan.
Oh dear.
It's good, this one. No, I mean, so this dad sits with the family, and he says, you know, I've had enough and everything. I want to become an astronaut. And he went, why? He said, because I need some space.
I've just looked up on the internet. I've just Googled, and there was a submarine in Bootle. You're not wrong. But the only one I've found so far, it's a very, very cursory search, but the only one I've found so far was a submarine, and it's out of the water. They've got it on rollers out of the water in Bootle. So whether it was a serving submarine or some other, I don't know. But someone will tell us. Someone will know. So if anybody else knows about that, because I'm fascinated now. I went on a submarine, HMS Blythe, I think it was called, in Blythe in the northeast, and they're horribly cramped things, aren't they? They're horrible.
Wow, it must have been Polaris, I think, because is it Trident now?
It could be.
I think it was massive, and all round where all the missiles are very cramped, And it was amazing, and never got any photographs or the name of it, but it's interesting. You do a great show, Alan.
I would be absolutely astounded if the submarine you went on, as you know, just as a Joe Bloke punter, the submarine you went on, if it was a nuclear one, because the insides of them are really very, very secret. But who knows?
Some warheads at the back, I don't remember. It was fascinating.
Right. Well, if anyone remembers it, if anyone can put any meat on the bones of that story, we'll all be fascinated. Malcolm, thank you. A submarine in Bootle or around that area anyway. They've got a submarine, a U-boat in Birkenhead. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but they've got a U-boat in Birkenhead, and then of course they've got the yellow submarine. They've even got one of those in Australia these days. But they're fascinating. 0800 218 2255. I remember as a kid, I must have been about 11 or 12. We were in Warrington, and we all went down to Latchford Locks, which is on the Manchester Ship Canal. Because think of this, given where we are today, 2 Russian submarines went through Latchford Locks on their way up to Salford Docks. Does anybody remember that? I remember. I sometimes think, am I making this up myself? I just dreamt it one night, and now I think it's true. Any road, 0800 218 2255. Malcolm reckons he went on a submarine in Bootle in the 70s. If you can put some meat on the bones of that, we'll be grateful. How do Ethan?
Hi, Alan.
Hiya.
I came on to talk about today about the criminal sex gangs in France. I was just wondering why you weren't at the local meeting. I thought we were all going to go and talk about gay sex.
Well, whatever gets you through the night, Ethan. How do Trevor?
Yes, this is me. Hello, good evening, Alan. You get intriguing calls, don't you? Why is the flower like the letter A, Alan?
How are we spelling flower?
As in Flower.
Right. Why is the flower like the letter A? I don't know.
Because a B goes after it.
Oh, dear God.
And what's a frog?
I would argue against that. I would say that's nonsensical. Because the beetle doesn't go after it. It's not as if the flower's running away and the bee's chasing after it. Come back! Oh, because it's back. Come back. It's not, is it?
Stop trying to spoil my jokes.
I don't spoil them, Trevor. You do.
Oh, thank you.
It's all right.
What's a frog's favourite flower? Spelt the same way.
A crocus.
Oh, there you are.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Oh, excuse me. I need to do a jig.
Right. So I've been looking for slightly odd stories, and I've come up with one or two for you. Apparently, the F word is not a trademark, in that an American company wanted to trademark effing awesome as their brand for clothes and various other things, and one of the higher European courts has said it's not a distinctive enough phrase to merit a trademark. So there was that.
Right.
In Swindon, meanwhile, disgruntled residents held an unusual birthday party, complete with cake, to mark the third birthday of roadworks near their homes that were due to finish in 2020, but are still uncompleted and look as though may take some more time yet. So that was that.
I often travel down the A55 hither and thither in North Wales, and I've been living in North Wales now for 2.5 years, more or less, and they've been refurbishing just one lump of it since I got here.
I know. They do go on and on, some of them, don't they?
Yeah.
Some of the roadworks. And the final trivial story, I suppose. When is a yoghurt pot a tin can? And I asked the question somewhat rhetorically, because a new record for the Guinness World Records book has been announced. It's described as the world's furthest tin can phone call, using, I think, 1,200 feet of wire and 2 yoghurt pots as opposed to tin cans. It was in Sidmouth. Sorry, go on. You're going to...
No. I'm fascinated. Go on.
It was in Sidmouth in Devon as part of a science festival, and the words "This is Sidmouth Science Festival, World Record Tin Can Telephone" were spoken at one end and heard by witnesses at the other, and Guinness say it beat the old record set in Japan by more than 100 metres. So that's good stuff.
My only thought is, I mean, maybe we were just poor, but we used to do it, but we used string.
Yes.
Did they use wire?
I remember doing that as well.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Because I presume the sound travels down as a result of vibration or something.
Yes,
send a formal signal. But wire, I don't know. I don't know. We always used string and it seemed to work. But then again, it wasn't 3.5 miles long. How you'd keep a piece of string that long taut, I've no idea.
No,
absolutely fascinating. This is Sidmouth.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Your phone, your can rings. This is Sidmouth. Oh, sod off. It'd just be so much fun, wouldn't it?
Indeed. And finally...
The question I've been asked many times and don't know the answer. How did Alexander Graham Bell know he'd invented the telephone?
No. I'm not
It's not a joke. How did he know? Picks up his telephone, dials. He's only just invented it. Who's going to answer?
Didn't he speak to a researcher in another room or something? I can't remember the details.
That's the theory. It doesn't spoil my joke.
No. Finally, on a more serious point, the Home Secretary has been enjoying a weekend in Rwanda. And apart from being Home Secretary, she obviously thinks she has a future, possibly after politics, as a comedian, because she's been joking about wanting to know the name of the interior designer of the migrant accommodation she visited. She's been smiling, not to say laughing a lot, in a variety of pictures that have been published. And she's been accompanied by a specially selected group, you would have to say, of journalists, and I think somebody from GB News, and other journalists were excluded, certainly from flying with her. So that's presumably why we've got almost identical headlines in tomorrow's papers that you mentioned earlier, in the Mail and Express, for instance, about the European court being about to back down. But, I mean, there are lots of issues about the Rwanda policy, and if I could mention just one, it's just how safe is Rwanda. And there's been a lot of talk from the Home Secretary and others that it's the safest country one of the safest countries in the world, and it'll be a haven for refugees. But not long before the policy was announced, the UK government or a spokesman for the UK government was expressing concern about their human rights. The US State Department, which I wouldn't altogether take at face value, but has made statements that there are significant human rights issues, including unlawful or arbitrary killings by the government and forced disappearances. A few years back, 11 refugees from the Congo were shot dead by Rwandan police for protesting against cuts in their food rations. And Israel tried deporting people to Rwanda, and according to reports, it did not go well, and almost all of them have somehow or other found their way out of Rwanda, and indeed in some cases started to trek back across Europe. So that's just my thought. I don't think the argument that Rwanda is a great place for human rights or for the safety of refugees is altogether made to my satisfaction, Alan.
Well, it's just as well for the government that they don't need to satisfy your standards, merely their own and international ones. We shall see. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. Pick up your phone. You can talk about absolutely anything. We really don't mind. And we have Patrick. How do Patrick? Hello, Patrick.
Yeah, hello, Alan.
Hello.
Remind me, what show am I on again?
It doesn't matter what my name is. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that it's like I think it's been stretched out for too long. You know what I mean? I think that what's so hard to just send a couple of tanks into Russia and the whole thing sorted. You know what I mean? I mean, it's Russia against the rest of the world essentially. So what's taking so long?
Well, war is not a simple thing to win.
Really?
I wonder if he'll ever grow up. I doubt it. How do Fred?
Hey, bag on, lad. I've got my radio on. So
and turn it off.
I'm just going to switch it off. Radio off, lad. Are you there?
Pleased. I am.
Aye, bag on, lad. It's the right wrong doing, isn't it?
You'll have to be more specific.
Well, St. Patrick's Day. You know, St. Patrick's Day. We all celebrate St. Patrick's Day in my house.
Right.
The leprechaun was not happy. Anyway, it's been Mother's Day, so, you know, my mother's not around at the moment because she did that thing that a lot of mothers do. She died and went to heaven, which may or may not exist. But anyway, just before Mother's Day, just before she died, I bought her some flowers. And then she died. And I had to give me the flowers to me beloved auntie. Oh, and I gave the flowers to me beloved auntie, who was like a second mother to me. So Mother's Day is always a day when I celebrate my beloved, wonderful, exceptional mother. And Father's Day is when I celebrate my beloved, exceptional father. It's a grand thing for a lad to have a good mum and dad, isn't it?
I'm sure it's an excellent start in life, yes.
And then you just anyway, football lad. So why, this FA Cup thing? They had to postpone the Premiership games between Brighton and Man United and Manchester City and West Ham. Well, why couldn't they have turned out two teams and played both games at the same time? I mean, they're paid enough money, aren't they? I mean, you shouldn't just postpone a game because, I mean, we know the beloved Alex Ferguson, who was the great Manchester United manager, and Bill Shankly, the great Liverpool manager. But all these guys are paid a lot of money. They should just go on and win the FA Cup game and then go on and play the Premiership game. I mean, they're paid enough money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand it, lad.
Well, clearly you don't, because you're suggesting now that they play them one after the other, and just a few moments ago you were suggesting they play them simultaneously, so clearly you don't understand it.
Yeah. You caught me out on that one, haven't you, lad? You really caught me out. My logic was not very logical there, was it?
Well, I think the word, though it was used twice, is redundant.
Redundant, yeah. Yeah, but, there's a lot of people who play football games, and they play one football game on a Saturday, and they play another football game on a Sunday, and they don't get paid anything for it, but they just enjoy playing football. And you being a rugby man, you must have played rugby a lot of times, when you didn't feel like it, when you're in a bad mood.
I don't think I ever played rugby when I didn't feel like it, but then I can't imagine a time when I wouldn't have felt like it.
You see, rugby is one of those things where you play it, and, if you wake up in the morning and say, I don't think I want to play rugby, but I've got to go down to the rugby pitch and play rugby, and you get out of bed and you go, by gum, lad, I've got to play rugby. So it's tenacious, isn't it? It's an attitude, isn't it?
No, I'm not in a position to say. All I can say is that I cannot remember ever not wanting to play rugby.
So you were a stalwart, were you? You were one of these guys who said, rugby, let's get it played.
I can't recall ever using that expression.
No, but I mean, it's like when you want to play tiddlywinks or Ludo or chess. I mean, if you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood, but you can't call the match off, can you? I know I'm talking rubbish, lad, because that's my modus operandi. But they could have got on with the FA Cup games, and then they could have played the Premiership games. They could have got a bus from wherever they were and gone to another football ground and got on with playing the other game, couldn't they? I mean, they're paid enough money, aren't they?
I don't know whether it's enough, but they're certainly paid a lot. I don't know how much you get paid is ever enough. But yes, they could have got on a bus. Indeed, they have a bus readily available. All the clubs have their own buses, believe it or not.
In olden days, when I were a lad...
When were they?
In olden days...
Yes, I heard the expression. I asked you when they were.
Yeah, but they had this maximum wage thingy, where they were only paid £64 a week, and what's his name? The guy from Coventry City, who used to be a commentator. Jimmy Hill, that's him. That Jimmy Hill, he said, "Hey, by gum, lad, we've got to pay them more than £64 a week."
He was from Coventry, you said. They don't say he by gum in Coventry.
No, lad. He were the lad who sort of like took Coventry City to the top of the. They won the FA Cup, didn't they?
I've no idea. I'm sure he wasn't alone, because most of the teams have nearly a dozen.
Sorry, I didn't understand what you said then.
I don't expect you to.
Right, so Coventry City were one of the. They were a great side, weren't they, in their day?
I have no idea.
They were in the. You're a rugby man, aren't you, lad?
Well, I'm many things, but I famously don't like football, so don't keep much memory of it, really.
Right. Well, I'm more of a football man than a rugby man, you know. I have been to see Hull Kingston Rovers and Hull. What's the other side in Hull? It's rugby league. Rugby league, not rugby union. Hull Kingston Rovers and Hull. Hull, and by gum. Me being a football man, it was quite interesting to watch a game of rugby, actually.
Good.
But that were rugby league, so that's not your genre.
I have interest in both.
I think if anybody can just play sport and accept it as a sport and just get on with it, and, you know, shake hands at the end of the game and said, okay, you've thrashed us 33-15, but it were a right good game of rugby, weren't it? And that's the nature of the game, isn't it?
You tell me. I have no idea. I never have any idea.
Well, I think when you come home after the football match and you've lost...
I never come home after the football match.
Well, after the rugby match.
Well, I'm just...
And you've lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Michael Palin did that wonderful thing where he comes back from the football match and smashes up the house. But a lot of people take sport very seriously, and it's a very serious business. I mean, you know, it's one of the most fundamental aspects of human behaviour to support your team, isn't it?
I've no idea, but I'm fed up now, so how do David, sorry.
How do, Alan? Can you hear me okay?
Just about.
Okay, right, sorry, I'm right next to the phone. There's something wrong with the phone. Just the answers to your cryptic questions. GEGS is 9-4 scrambled eggs. And the other one, ABC, right through to H, and then miss them to O, it's H2O, which is water.
Right. Well, it can't be H2O, can it? There's the number 2's there.
No, he said miss the ones between H and O.
Right,
so
H2O. Now I understand, yes. Right, so H2O. But that wouldn't be H2O, would it? Because it's the wrong sort of 2.
Yes, I know it is, but, you know, that there's cryptic, it appears in crosswords quite often, and that's the answers to them.
Right.
So
cryptic crosswords are basically wrong. That's probably why I can never get them.
But what I'm saying is
H2O is H, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, H2O.
Correct.
But H2O, as in the journey between each of those letters, isn't water. so cryptic crosswords answers are wrong.
You take it up with them, not me, but they are the
And what was the other one? What was the other one? I didn't even write them down because I wasn't that interested. But
GEGS.
GEGS.
And it's 9-4, and the answer is scrambled eggs.
Oh, very good. Yes. Oh, I can get that one. Yes, I can understand that. Yes.
Right, no, that was it.
Thanks, David. Have a good night, mate. 821. How do, Ian?
Oh, good evening, Alan. Everything okay with you, sir? Show's going on, I take it?
I'm getting paid. So it's good.
Right. Oh, well, of course. That's the reason. And I'm glad you secured some employment for your twilight of your years.
Right. Well, I'm hoping it's not the twilight of my years. I hope I'm going to live for a long time, but never mind.
Well, I told you why, sir. I do. I wish you all the best off for them 3 years you're looking at. Hey, I'm with you on that one. I hope I can live for another 3 years, sir, with some degree of certainty. However, say I've not spoken to you for a while. And again, you don't remember punters as such, do you? Or people who like to engage in a bit of backwards and forwards in a bit of cut and thrust of an evening. You know, you get quite a broad spectrum of people, but I was the man with the cord underpants and the denim underwear for women. No?
No, nothing there.
No, okay, fair enough. All right, we'll get past that. The best Prime Minister that we never had in recent years, I'm going to go for John Prescott. We need somebody like that in charge of the country, I think. You know,
Why,
right, like, you know.
What is his attributes that would make him a good Prime Minister?
Well, again, he's quite forthright, and he doesn't mind a bit of a debate either. And he'll tell you the nitty gritty, and he'll try and drill it down and give you a bit of a. And besides that, again, he's had some work in background as well, hasn't he? I do. I miss John. Oh, he's a lord now, isn't he, Mr. Prescott?
I think he might be. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because I don't think. Because I live in the northwest, I'm liable to actually be a Labour supporter. But again, I don't think that's going to really matter at the next election or even in the local ones. With this emergency broadcast system, that's a load of rubbish.
Why?
I think people are right to be a bit, apprehensive about it or not on board with it.
Why? Why is it a load of rubbish in your view, Ian?
Well, it is, in my opinion, it is just to actually, it's a monitoring service, it's not to help anybody. I mean, crikey, if you know there's a flood coming, or what have you, I don't think it's going to be that detrimental, I don't think it will help. The same way I don't think any photographic evidence is going to help people to identify us as suitable to vote. I mean, what's happening with the actual country, it's, we are getting to the point where you can get stopped and asked to, confirm what you're up to, where you've been. I mean, because you can't force you to tell them unless you've got some suspicion that you committed a crime. They'll do it through biometrics now, won't they? They'll do it through facial recognition, which is what they're after, isn't it? They're after actually everything and wanting to know where you are, what you're up to, and, what you're going to spend your money on. Which is fine, but I think that should apply to all the population in the United Kingdom and not just a few can, afford to be anonymous.
So why do you think the emergency message system will not be of use?
I don't think it'll be of any benefit, Alan, because again we've got TV and radio, which again it's your it's your place of work. And I think the majority of people do either engage with the TV or I don't think they need another message on the phone, which again mobile phones at the moment are being hijacked by all types of people, whether it's trying to sell you something or your delivery's not there and I've not even ordered anything from you, why are you asking me to give me your details? And it's the telephone preference service is neither used an ornament now because you can get a mobile just like at Tesco's or any other shop which sells SIM cards. It's you can buy a new number, can't you, for £1? And it just seems a bit of a, there's no need for it in my opinion. And again, it's just something which it's just another tracking.
How is sending a message tracking?
Because again, it only sends a message if you're in that area. So how does it gather that information?
Well, they know where you are. They can say, right, we will send this message to or from every one of the telephone masts in the area that's relevant. They don't know who's there. So it'll just be everybody who's in that area will get a warning that there's going to be flooding. When years ago, if they were going to turn the water off in an area, they would have a van going round with speakers on the roof and a bloke inside saying, "We're turning your water off at 10 o'clock. Now I get an email.
Yeah, and again, they're actually relying on people, or they're funneling down people a route, which isn't entirely needed. Again, it's the.
Well, what do you mean? Well, hang on. Let's separate the two things. Is the message needed? Do you think it's a good idea that people are informed that the water board are going to turn the water off for 3 hours tomorrow? Do you think that's a good idea? Yes or no?
I do. Yes.
Right. Now, do you think it's a good idea that they tell people?
Yeah, of course, before it happens, yeah.
Well, obviously, they don't have to tell you after it's happened because there's no bloody water in the tap. Oh, there's no water. They must have turned it off. So they tell you beforehand.
That's the reason why,
absolutely. So there's lots and lots of things where it's worthwhile for those who provide our services and the rest of it, let us know that those services are going to be interrupted, interfered with, or what have you. It's also worthwhile knowing that tomorrow we are expecting that your village, your town, your street will be under 4 foot of water. Now, you could...
that's a Met Office with their sciences. Yeah, that's a little bit of voodoo. Go on.
So you think we shouldn't bother telling people if we think they're going to be under 4 foot of water tomorrow? Just say it's a Met Office, they're probably wrong.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be wrong, but again, forecasting...
Well, what are you saying? When you say, oh, that's a Met Office, that's not saying they might be wrong. What were you saying? That's the Met Office and they are the absolute essence of accuracy, or were you suggesting that they're wrong?
No,
which is it?
The Met Office are 100% accurate, and again, it's a science-based.
Let's try the question again, should we? Let's try the question. See if you can understand it, because I asked it, and then you just named an organisation. So see if I can get you to understand. I'll do it slowly because I know there's clearly some difficulty. Do you think it would be worthwhile to know that there was a high risk that your street was going to be up under 4 feet of water tomorrow? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to do it again slowly. How do you think that piece of information should be conveyed to the people in that vicinity? How?
Okay, so let's say it is a...
Just tell me how. Just answer the question, how?
Well, you'd use any platform that was available. And again, we've got radio
and one of those platforms, and it's a fairly well-used platform, you may have heard of it, is the mobile phone, is it not?
Yes, it is.
So would that be one of the acceptable platforms for the messaging organisation to use?
It would be, yeah. It'd be one of many.
So you're in favour of it. Excellent, thank you. How do Gary?
Right, Alan.
I'm very well, thank you.
Well, Alan, you had a few conversations a couple of weeks ago about Jehovah's Witnesses. And it just reminded me of a story my uncle told me about my granddad and a Jehovah's Witness. There was lots of children in the household, and he lived in Kirby in Liverpool. And the council knocked one semi-detached property together, if you know what I mean. So they had two houses.
So they had a big house, yeah?
Yeah, he had a big house with 2 front doors. Anyway, as far as I can gather, my granddad wasn't very religious. And one day he got a knock on the door from Jehovah's Witness and obviously told him to go away in no uncertain terms. Then waited for him to go down the path and up the other gate. And then he run through the houses, opened the door and asked him if Jehovah could do that, and I bugger off.
I like it.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's true or if my uncle was just passing on a story he told me it's what my granddad had done, like.
There's an old journalist expression, Gary. It's called "too good to check."
yeah. Well, it's always made me laugh, and it made me laugh the other week when because every time I hear about Jehovah's Witness, it always reminds me of that story. And I thought,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Gary. We enjoyed that. 0800 218 2255. I say we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I can't speak for you. If you've something you do wish to say, you're more than welcome. How do Andrew?
How do, Alan? Anyway, will you just comment like you can interfere with the weather? See, language is many different things, you see. Now, mi con qua, contro the person, on a telephone. Obviously, I'm talking shit. Anyway,
don't use that word again, please.
Sorry. What's got a big cock and hands up?
No, it's got quiet. He's run out of words that are allowed to be used. Very small vocabulary. How do Alan?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right, Alan. Same name. Now, you're on board.
I don't know what the expression you're asking me. Am I on board what?
Yeah. You're on board. I thought you saw someone else instead of me.
I will if you want, but I think I'm talking with you at the moment.
You said Andrew, and I'm Alan.
Well, I said Andrew, and then I said, how do Alan? Not a name I forget easily.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I'm glad you appreciate it.
You've got your point across straight away.
It's not my point. I'm just making contact with you, but I'm happy not to if that's what you would prefer.
Well, yes, it's just a little stipulation about Putin.
Okay.
Now, what's your scenario? And it's not a big word this time of night, because we're all going to bed now. But about Putin saying that, but it's about our government, and that they're going to throw. No, we're all going to have to get on our mobile phones waiting for the little delivery. But what if we haven't got a coffin? What if we haven't got a bunker? You know what I'm saying is?
I don't. I'm hoping you do, but I don't.
But I think that's where we're coming from.
What? You think what?
I think our government know where we're coming from.
I don't know what you mean by... I don't know what you mean by the expression "we're coming from." What does that mean?
No, Putin's gonna. He's a dead man walking, isn't he?
Well, he's alive. I saw him. I can't be certain, but I watched him on television today, and he seemed to be alive. He was driving a car at the time.
Yeah, he's struggling, isn't he?
In what way is he struggling? Struggling with what?
Well, he's struggling with his society. There's no society there.
Where?
His people are I don't know, the drone affected, you know. Give the man his due, like, he's done a good thing. And like the Ukrainians, you know, everyone's going on about the Ukrainians. But in 1941, they let Hitler walk through towards Russia without one little bit of defence. If someone wants to bring something like that up.
Right.
I know my history. I'm not that old, like, but I know my history.
Well, you may well be fully versed on your history, and that's to be admired. You may recall, I don't know, you may recall that we were on the same side as the Soviet Union in the date you said, the Second World War.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is that Ukraine let Hitler walk through to Russia.
Right. And
that's why they called them.
What does that contribute to your statement that Putin is struggling?
Because he's not getting backing. I'm not backing him, don't get me wrong.
I'm not
I'm not
suggesting you
a
are.
supporter.
No. When you say he's not getting backing, he's a dictator. He doesn't need backing.
I'm talking about if people are looking at the history. You know, you probably know your history, or you can look it up, things like that. But in 1941, the Ukraine stood back while Hitler.
Yes, you said that. You've said that 4 or 5 times now, and
yeah, okay.
rather than making it a 6th time, can you tell me what, in your mind, is the relevance of that in today's world?
Because the Russians are calling the Ukrainians Hitler lovers.
Well, Putin has said that there is, should we say, fascism in Ukraine, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And are you saying he is correct?
Well, yeah, I could quite agree with him.
So you're saying Putin is correct when he says that there are many fascists in Ukraine? That's what you're saying?
No, there's loads of fascists in Germany.
Well, we're not talking about Germany at the moment. We can do all the countries one after the other if you wish. There's only about 300 of them, so I've got another hour.
Well,
so are you... Listen, you seem to say something. Here's the question again, so we can all understand what it is that you're saying. I'm not trying to tell you you're right or wrong. I just want to hear what it is that you're saying. Are you saying that, as you understand it now, that Ukraine has got an awful lot of Nazis in it and they deserve all they get? Is that what you're saying, yes or no?
No, I'm not saying that. You're putting words into my mouth.
No, I'm trying to find out what words you've got in your mouth. I'm trying to sort them out from all the jumble that I'm not clever enough to understand. You keep telling me that the Ukrainians... No, I didn't say it was jumble. I said it's jumble that I can't understand. It sounds like jumble to me, but that's my fault for not being as clever as you, and certainly not as informed as history as you.
I'm not saying
no, I know you're not, but I am. Take the compliment, why don't you? So you're saying that, and you've said 5 times as it happens, that Ukrainians stood back and let the German army, Hitler as you described it, through so they could go and fight Russia. That's what you said. Right, we've got that.
Yeah, but
No, wait. Remember, I'm a very slow person. Yeah. I'm not clever, I'm not quick. I'm very slow. So I have to walk in slow paces because I'm not very bright. Certainly not as bright as you. So that's what you've said. We've established that. That's your version of history, and I believe others will agree with you. So what I'm now asking is, what does that mean today?
It's about people's history.
Well, yes, it is about people's history.
No,
it's history. It is. I'm asking you. What should we take from that? It happened. You tell me in 1941. Now, does that mean that we should ignore Ukraine? Ignore what Putin is doing with Ukraine? Or what? What is it you're saying?
Putin wasn't about them.
No, I know he wasn't. That's why I'm asking you about today. You might have heard me say today. You may have done. I may have said the wrong word. I may have said Cheshire cheese when I meant today. Do you think? Alan, I'm going to ask you this question, and I hope you'll bear with me because I'm not too bright.
Just have a little dabble.
I tell you what, Alan, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I can find someone not as clever as you to talk to. Good night. How do you know her?
Hi, Alan, mate. How are you doing?
Awfully well, thank you.
I'm glad. I just want to say that I love how you give people a platform to talk on stuff and give their opinions, because that conversation was just really interesting to me.
Right, well, thank you for saying it.
Yeah, no, and I just feel like it gives everybody a place to say what they want to say. I just want to say what I think now. So, would you be okay with that?
I don't know yet.
Right. Well, basically, I just think I just love having sex with my sister.
Good night. I'll do nobody. I need a breather after a crossing like that. 0800 218 2255 is them people. Hey, that was nice, wasn't it? Sorry, I was just adjusting something. It happens. 0800 218 2255. You want to join us, you can. Pick up your phone, have your say, talk about anything. How do Alan?
Hey, Alan, all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I thought about councils.
Okay.
The one where I live, it's brilliant. Tameside Council. Every time I ring up, it manages to do what I asked it, or the girls on the phone line, or the switchboard. But I want to ask you about the issue in like London with Sadiq Khan, because the Conservatives are moaning about Sadiq Khan, and then it always seems like, what I mean is, like, coming up to local elections, people should be voting about more local elections than what they are nationally. So this local election, I've got a feeling that the Conservatives might be wiped out. But what they should be doing is doing it like locally, as what it says on the script.
Yes, local elections are about electing local representatives, local councillors, and so it is up to the voter whether they wish to vote for somebody because he or she is going to do a good job specifically in their area because of the policies he or she has espoused, or whether they choose to say, well, I want a particular political party to be in charge of my council, so I'll vote for that party. That's democratic freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I'm concentrating on the local elections coming up is locally. So my local council is Labour, Park, a little bit Conservative, but it used to be Liberal Democrat years ago. And then there was a bloke called Kieran Quinn. He was Labour, and I spoke to him a couple of times. He's no longer with us now, but he was always saying like it's as far as he could go at every time. So for me, locally, Labour fantastic, but nationally, in the next couple of years, Keir Starmer is a bit weak for me still. So this local election, I'd vote Labour, but the next the next general election, I'd still probably vote like Liberal Democrat or Conservative.
That is your freedom. That is the strangeness of the difference between the two, if you like, forums in which we select our leaders. So your difficulty often is that local authorities get most of their money from central government. So central government controls to a large extent what local authorities can do, even though the people who run the local authority are elected locally. Well, your local authority can say, we're going to build 5 new schools, and then you have to turn to the government and say, can we have the money for 5 new schools? And the government says yay or nay to that. So whilst you can vote for your local council on local issues, many of the financings of those individual issues are controlled by central government. So which do you vote for? Those that can change central government or those that cannot? It's a dilemma that we all face when we go to the separate elections.
Yeah, but Tameside, again, Tameside for me, where I live, they can't do anything. Every time I've rang them up and asked them a question, they're on to it. But nationally, Keir Starmer, I just can't follow the guy.
Well, that's your privilege.
I just think, like, no,
But if it was Angela Rayner, here's a question for you. If levelling up, Angela Rayner, she's same side, so she's like Droylsden, Sister Ashton, Denton. Would the levelling up, if Labour was in charge, would Angela Rayner get that money?
That would be a decision that the government of the day would make. If Labour was successful, that doesn't mean that all the Labour councils and all the Labour areas would get more money. But otherwise, that would be invidious, wouldn't it? Just helping your own areas.
Yeah, but that's what they're saying. But that's another point, isn't it? They're saying that where it's levelling up money is all going to where it's conservative health. But I can't see that. No, I mean, what I mean is councils and the government, they just seem to battle with each other all the time, don't they?
Well, some of them do, yes. That's what happens when organisations disagree with each other. They argue about it, inevitably. But it is also the case that when there is a Conservative government, some Conservative councils are less than happy at the way they are treated, and when it's a Labour government, some of the Labour councils are unhappy at the way they're being treated. I can remember when Manchester was attempting to get the Olympic Games, a senior Manchester councillor said to me, "I've just been in a meeting with John Major, who was the Conservative Prime Minister at the time, and he said, 'Good luck with your bid for the Olympic Games. Tell me how much money you need.'"
Right.
So,
I never knew that.
Well, it wasn't generally known, but the central government was very, very keen on Manchester getting the Olympic Games, despite the fact that at that time, I think I'm correct in saying, Manchester City Council did not have one Conservative councillor, not one. But John Major, who's crackers about sport, or was, probably still is, but John Major, he loved his sport, he loved cricket, but John Major...
That's right.
Said, "I will fund it. The government will fund it. You just go out, tell us what you need for your bid, and we will fund it."
Yeah.
So it depends what the issue is. So some governments give money to councils that are opposite to them, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I remember when my first ever election was 1997, and I voted Tony Blair.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I come back to Tameside. I've run councillors on Tameside Council. They hated Tony Blair, and I'm like, crackers.
Well, that is often the case. It is often the case that the local representatives don't like the leaders. I promise you, and I'm not in any way denigrating anybody, but I promise you, not every Conservative council thinks that our current Prime Minister is doing a good job. But they would say so in public, but away from that, they'd say he's screwing it right up. But that's how politics works. But good to hear from you, Alan, and I'm glad you vote anyway. Tom.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Right. I think you and I live in very interesting times, Alan. I must be about a year older than you. I was born in 1947 in Sutton General Hospital, of all places. And I believe you were a psychiatric nurse there later on.
I was, yeah. Not in 1947, much later than that.
No. In the mid-70s, I should
Indeed,
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the interesting thing was, I was listening to your programme a few months ago, and somebody brought up a mention of a little pub that was opposite the gate of Sutton General.
Yeah.
It's gone now. It's all disappeared. Even the hospital's gone, The
hospital's a supermarket now, isn't it? There's still a bit of it at the back. There's a psychiatric clinic at the back, or there used to be. The Kevin
Yeah,
Centre,
yeah.
I think it was called.
Yeah, it's changed so much. Both things do change, don't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, talking about that pub, many years ago, as I was saying, in the 70s, I'd gone into the pub with a couple of mates of mine who lived in the area, and I bumped into a bunch of chaps from the hospital. And one of them, I'm pretty sure, I could swear that you were amongst them, but you may not have been. One of them was a damn good player of the piano. He played the boogie very well. And I'm not going to mention his name. And
well, you can say his first name.
Well, Nick is the name. And I won't mention the second name. He had a beard then. He's probably still got it now.
A red one.
And anyway, later on, I used to knock down, further down Smithdown Road. There was a road called Greenbank Road.
Drive.
And,
Greenbank Drive.
Off the Greenbank Drive it was, yeah. And running parallel to that was Nycander Road, and between the two was a road called Bromley Avenue.
Correct.
Now, student doctors lived there, and I know that for the fact because a mate of mine and me used to go around repairing televisions and their cars and that. And I'd made this synthesizer, which was very, very rare in those times to find one. You couldn't buy them in the shops. The keyboard. And I took it down to show my mate who was in that place at the time in Bromley Avenue. And I bumped into this guy again, Nick, again. And he was so interested in the thing, he started trying to tune it up for me, Anyway, cut a long story short, if he's still around, because I'm sure I heard him say hello to Nick a few months ago. If he's still around, and I hope he is, just say hello from me, and I've still got the synthesizer and it still works. That's all I really wanted to say.
All right. Well, he is still around, but he's not in Liverpool anymore.
No, I should imagine. I should imagine that he wouldn't be down there now. It's a long time ago. That
indeed it is. He and I used to have separate bed sits in a big house in Greenbank Drive. I had the top floor and he had the basement, and then we were pals anyway. We worked together, and then we got a flat in ground floor flat in Ullet Road, I think it was called.
Yeah, I had a flat in Ullet Road too, only for a short time. But it's like another place was Hartington Road. I had a flat there.
Hartington Road, yeah. I know it. Student accommodation and student nurse accommodation.
Yeah, it was. That's the way it was, So much of that. Anyway, I just thought to say, I've been dying to get on the phone and say hello and mention those things, But I wouldn't believe it's so difficult to get myself to do it.
Well, it is the radio, so some people are slightly put off by it for some reason, and then I'm a complete and utter rat, so that puts them off as well. But good to hear from you, Tom. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255, and the aforementioned Nick and I are still from time to time in touch with each other. How do, Gerry?
Good evening, Alan. Can I ask some advice from you, please?
Well,
it's about power of attorney.
Okay.
In the event of you having two people who hold power of attorney, how is it decided which one is senior or which one can operate the power of attorney first?
I don't think it is decided, to be honest. I think you'd need a lawyer to read the exact instructions, but I don't think it is decided. It depends on what decisions need making. So I don't know.
Such things as taking over financial financial institutions or banks or whatever, for getting money out of the bank, that sort of thing.
Well, again, it's probably, I don't know for certain, but it is probably mutual. They each have the same power, which can be difficult.
So then if you got into a dispute, you'd have to go back to the solicitor?
Well, the solicitor wouldn't be able to sort it. You would need to... The solicitor drew up the power of attorney. If there were going to be two, I would imagine I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but I would imagine that solicitor would suggest that within the power of attorney it was person A and the subordinate person B, but if A is dead or indisposed, B takes over.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that they're both alive at the same time, which could cause a conflict.
Well, it could, because they might each have a different idea of what is the best for the person who has granted them that attorney. But I would suggest if you... I don't even know that you can, but if you had two, then it would be very, very sensible for the attorney document to reveal which one is the first one, if you like. So that
sort of senior.
Well, this is the person who has my power of attorney, but in the event of their demise, then our Albert can be it instead.
Okay, right. Thanks, Alan.
That's that. If I was doing it, that is what I would suggest to my solicitor. If I was doing it, that's what I want to happen. Because
so
otherwise,
it's really sorted out before you even enter into that sort of contract.
I would suggest that would be wise, because if you have two and they are of equal power, then who gets to decide?
That's right. Yeah. Because I could see conflicts. You know, where there's a will, there's a relation. You know, and that can cause problems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rules are. It may be that you can only appoint one person, or one must have the status. I don't know. That's lawyers' work. They don't pay me. I'm not paying them. All right.
Okay,
so
right.
Are you thinking of getting one drafted?
Yes.
Then, first of all, talk to the people you're going to suggest as the person with the power, and it might be a good idea to, if you're having more than one, to get your lawyer to draw up one that has a hierarchical structure.
Then cover.
If it's possible.
Okay.
All right.
Right, thanks very much. Bye now.
Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. If there's a lawyer listening knows the answer to that, then give us a shout. Put us out of our misery, because now I'm intrigued. 0800 218 2255. The problem is if you don't have it sorted, if there is more than one opinion, then you can end up, I mean, in the worst case scenario, you can end up that they spend all your money fighting each other in court, and that's the least thing you want to happen. 0800 218 2255. On the subject of power of attorney and wills and things like that, I can tell you that lawyers make an awful lot of money from people who don't make a will. They do. They make an awful lot of money from people who don't make a will, because a lawyer sending out a letter can charge 50, 60 quid. And one person says, well, my granny wanted me to have it, and the other one says, no, she wanted me to have it. And the lawyer says, well, I'm charging 60 quid, the other lawyer's charging 60 quid, and that's coming out the residue. So sort it out beforehand. Get a will, for crying out loud. How did Tommy?
Hello, how are you, mate? Is that me?
Yes, if you're Tommy, this.
Yes, that's me. They call me Tommy, but everybody calls me Tommy. I won this phone off my mate Tommy in a game of Snap ages ago, but what I wanted to talk about, Alan, is ages ago, about an hour ago now, you're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah?
Somebody told a tale, yes?
No, I'm just saying this really nice old lady every now and then knocks at mine. And you know what, people tell them to go away and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are they're all mad and nutters and everything. No. So come in and talk to me. Come on, lady, tell me what you're talking about. What is it? But I want to know exactly what they are, you know, what they mean. But she's only very nice to me, and I say, park the religion and all, and just talk to me about things and life and everything. She's a very nice person, you know. But I've never asked her what the Jehovah's Witness is. Can you tell me, please?
Well, I'm hardly the person to give consultations on religion, but Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the man that started their faith, I think his name's John somebody or other, it doesn't matter, an American fellow, received some tablets, a bit like the Ten Commandments, but not the Ten Commandments, received some golden tablets, I think it is, from God that gave certain instructions and gave him the power to distribute those instructions, and they believe the rules that those instructions require to be. It's a way of behaving, if you like. So they believe in a set of rules, like Christians believe to a large extent, as indeed do Jews and Muslims believe in the Ten Commandments to all intents and purposes. Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses believe in their set of rules.
I don't understand religion, full stop, really. I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, but the thing is, these Jehovah's Witnesses, we've got a community office on our estate, right? And there's this fella moved in from Birmingham, as you can tell, I'm from Liverpool, right? And this fella moves in a little flat on our estate. I think he owns the gap and all that. And here's these Jehovah's Witnesses, like, walking around, and he tapped on this fella's bedroom window, which was out of order, I thought. And he comes running out, this little brummie. Hey, what do you think you're doing? That man's been working, he's on nights and all that stuff, you know, hey. But what happened? This Jehovah's Witness, he seen my window broken, right? And he said, I've noticed your window broken. My mate's giving loads of money away, you know, if you ever need that mending. I said, nah, mate, that's getting done by the council anyway. They'll fix that. I said, but thanks for your offer anyway. He's a taxi driver, but believe me, they're nice people, but taxi driver, and you want to see his house. It's like a little mansion in the middle of a council estate, and he goes to America, he swaps houses with people in America and all that. I'm just wondering why he's minted, you know, and other things, you know, mate.
He may have inherited the money. He may have had a well-paid job for a long time. I don't know. You're wondering. I'm offering you possible answers, but
taxi driver, that's all. Because him and his wife share the same taxi. You know, that's what they do, and he's got his big golf clubs and is the extension on his house. It's like I said, it's a mansion on a council estate, and they're nice people, and he's offered me money and that. No, I can't take that off somebody, you know. It's nice for you to offer me to know that, but and people like, you know, whoever they are tell kids to like start stoning them and all, throwing bricks at them. But this lady must be in her 80s now when she comes around. Just knocks at the door. I said, come in, Mum, I'll talk to you. And this and that, you know. They're nice people to me. And people slate them off and all that shit, you know.
Some people slate. Well, everybody that exists is slated, and every organisation that exists is slated by somebody. But yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses is just another version of Christianity, if you like.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Brummy who comes onto our estate, he's mates with this fella he's like a vicar or something, not a Catholic vicar or something like that. And he started to shout, they're just a made-up religion. I don't know what that means, a made-up religion. He says they're just screwing money out of everyone. I said, well, everybody's asking for collections, aren't you, you know. But I don't know. He said, the made-up religion, I don't understand, a made-up religion. And there's another thing that this lady said to me, that this is where I'm getting confused. Jesus Christ didn't die on the cross. I don't want to say it. He got a big spike. No, you might think I'm joking. No, I'm not. But he died on a spike. Don't just say it's up his ass. Like, that's the way he done it. He tortured him. That's what this lady said. He tortured him that way. I said, well, that's a bit weird. You didn't have to tell me that, did you, you know? But, you know, that's their argument. He didn't die on the cross and something more
they're entitled to believe whatever mysterious cause of death this so-called Jesus endured. It is their privilege. It's all religions are made up by man anyway. But it's been good to talk to you. 0800 218 2255. How do Paul?
How do you, Rob? All right, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
I want to talk about gay sex, if I can. Preferably man on man.
What do you want to say about it? I don't want a description of what goes on. I'm going to have a sandwich, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem about a man and a man falling in love. I've got no problem with man and man getting married. But I've got a problem with man and man having sex.
Well, they're not involving you, are they?
No, but they're not involving me. But
well, don't bother then. It's just nothing to do with you. What people do with each other's none of your damn business. How do John?
How do Alan? Oh dear. You know when you just about to describe it.
Can you get nearer to the microphone? You sound like you're in a dance hall.
No, I don't want to make sorry, I was just last week. I was coughing because I couldn't stop laughing. He was on about man on man, and you said you were about to have a sandwich. And I actually said to myself there, I'll be in the pickled one. But nevertheless, always more. When you run about this alarm system there, everyone's getting a text message. Yeah?
Yeah, yes.
And, well, what about people who haven't got a mobile phone?
They won't get one.
Well, then shouldn't we revert back to the olden days with a siren, like you said?
Well, the problem with sirens is you've got to get the siren to be comparatively close to the place where you want people to get the message, and that would mean there'd have to be thousands and thousands of them, because we now live in a very noisy society.
Alan, as you well know yourself, yeah, you know, you just said about flooding and whatnot. So all these places, this danger places, then they should have been there, shouldn't they? Really? See, I live in Blackpool.
Whether they should or shouldn't, whether they should or shouldn't is to a large extent irrelevant. They're not going to.
Wouldn't it be cheaper though?
A lot of sirens rather than just going.
And a text message.
I think a text message to everybody that's got a mobile phone is a lot cheaper than...
Well, there you go again, though. What about homeless people on the road who haven't got anything like that?
Well, I was just dealing with the bit when you said it, is it cheaper? I can only deal with one thing at a time. I'm a simpleton. So...
Well, you're not, because you work on the radio.
Well, there's lots of people working...
And you've been doing it many years, and you pay for your house from it.
Well, I have to pay for my house from it. It's called my job.
So you're not a simpleton, are you?
Well, there are lots of people paying for houses that are simpletons.
Right, so go on, carry on what you were saying, please, if you don't mind.
Have you got a house?
Yes.
I rest my case. How do Matthew?
Hiya, Alan, you all right?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask your views on this Madeleine McCann thing. I've been reading a lot about it and stuff, and I just don't think it weighs up, really.
About what? I didn't catch what you were wondering what I thought.
Do you know the Madeleine McCann thing that's going around at the moment? The young girl that went missing.
I know, yes. And what is it about? What's going on at the moment that you don't get?
Right, basically, stuff like that.
Can you make sure you continue to talk into the phone, because you disappear otherwise?
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a DNA thing, like saying that they're coming back British and stuff, and she's like Polish, isn't she?
Well, a person can have. Polish people have DNA. I think I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to get at is basically come back as British DNA, which I can't get my head round.
Why not?
It's just, I don't know. I've been reading up about it, and the age, it doesn't all add up to me, and I don't know.
Well, there's an awful lot surrounding the story of Madeleine McCann that doesn't add up, and that's not to cast aspersions or allegations at anybody, but there's a lot of it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, but it hasn't made sense since day one. But why would it make sense? It involves the disappearance of a tiny child. How does that ever make sense?
Well, it won't really, but...
Quite.
It's just mad though that it's coming out now, and I just can't get my head around it.
Well, I don't know what to
and
do.
I just wondered your views on that.
I don't have one.
Well, okay, then no worries. And as far as ringing,
there are all sorts of people around the world making money out of the Madeleine McCann story. First of all,
that's what I mean. I thought it was a money making.
But there are others who are doing their level best to resolve the situation and work out what did happen to such an extent as to prove it. Now, Madeleine McCann, I've said this before, and it was when she was still very young. She's rather older now. And
21, 22 now, isn't she?
I'm not sure, but she's much older, if she's alive at all. And I couldn't decide, and this is a horrendous thing to have in my head, really, in anybody else's head. But from the parents' point of view, I couldn't work out which I'd prefer. That she was no longer alive, or she'd been taken by somebody, as was suggested, and put into the paedophile trafficking system. If she's been taken by a person who wanted a child but couldn't get one by another way, and brings the girl up in a way as their own child and gives her the best life that's possible. Well, if you like, that sort of thing, then that's the best that the family can hope for. The other two are ghastly and hardly worth contemplating. Ghastly. If she's alive, she will one day work out that she's not who she's been told who she is, and hopefully will seek to find out who she is. And who knows, maybe reunited with her family. Wouldn't that be...
Well,
in lots of ways,
I'm a father myself, you see, so...
But in many ways it would be good, and in some ways it would be awful for everybody concerned, because they'd have to start trying to find a way of being them again.
Yeah.
And that's never easy for anybody.
No. All right, thank you for that.
It's all right, mate. Good to talk to you. How do John?
Oh, is that Alan?
It is.
Hey, Alan. Hey, you've had a bit of a mix. But I do like the ones that talk about God. The one that doesn't believe. You have to believe. It's a question of feeling.
Okay.
And the other one going like you made your profit and you get your house. Good for you. Anyway, it's me, John Paul. You're being in the backside. Anyway, I spoke to two people today who reckons the earth is flat. Alright, forgive me for giggling, but the earth is flat. And the way I ended it was look into the sky and look at the moon. And the shape is one. But apart from that, we're talking about my Lord. So, have you found any new evidence? Alan, are you there?
I am.
Oh, sorry. I'm just wondering, is there any new evidence in your eyes?
For what?
That there's a spirit?
I don't know what you mean by a spirit.
Okay, we're born to breathe air.
This is, well, yeah.
Oh, you cut me off then?
No.
Right, okay then. What is this? If we're born to breathe air, yes or no?
Well, you said if we're born to breathe air. There isn't a yes/no answer.
No, I didn't say, Alan, you always try to change my words. I
just repeated
I said, when we're born to breathe air. Yes or no?
I think when we're born, we need to breathe air. Whether that is the purpose of our birth, I cannot say.
So that means we're alive. And that is why we have a purpose. My purpose is giving, no receiving. Does that make me any better than anybody else?
No idea.
Well, the main thing is this. Do you believe in a soul?
No.
So, if you don't, then what is the question of having a soul when you're born?
Well, if I don't believe in the soul, there is no question of having one when you're born.
Yeah, but what about the ones that know they have a soul?
Well, those believe it, and that is their privilege.
No, Alan, there is no belief. It's a question of, if you know you've got a certain thing that you can't explain, then you have a purpose. That purpose is one. That one is to make sure, or be assured, or ensure that you create one thing, and his name is John Shaw. But the purpose or the meaning is one.
Right.
So, what do you reckon? Anyway, are you any good at puzzles?
At what?
Well, my mate.
I don't know what the question was. You said, am I any good at, and a word. And
puzzle. A puzzle?
Puzzles. No, I'm no good at puzzles.
No, not a question thing. I mean, I forgot. By any chance, have you got a pen and paper in front of you?
I have, yes.
Draw an envelope, please.
No.
As if you opened it.
No.
You know how to do it?
I'm not drawing one.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry I wasted your time, sir.
It's okay, it's not wasted, I get paid. Have a good night. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, feel free. If you'd like to draw an envelope, then don't let me stop you. But I'm not going to bother. And if you've got a soul, excellent. Actually, when I think of it, I've got two, but I don't think those are the ones he was on about. And I didn't have soul for my tea. Yeah, lemon, or the other. Dover, that's the other one, isn't it? Dover Soul. Why is it called Dover Soul? They don't land it at Dover, do they? There's no room. There's them big boats going in and out. 0800 218 2255. This is a stupid title. I got me religions jumbled. I said Jehovah's Witness believed in these tablets that were sent by golden tablets. I think they were sent by God. That's not the Jehovah's Witness. No, they're a different lot. The ones with the tablets are the Church of the Latter-day Saints, based in Charlie. The Mormons, as we used to call them. I think they are still called that. They were the tablet lot. I don't really know about the Jehovah's, but the Mormons were the tablets. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, another John. How do, John?
You just stuffed me there. I'm going to just ring you up and tell you that.
Oh, my sincere apologies. I never know what people are going to say. They don't tell me. My apologies.
Well, the only difference there is, obviously, I'm going to say that what you mentioned was the Church of Latter-day, the Mormons.
Yeah.
The Jehovah's Witnesses, the only difference with them is they call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses is because that is, like you get the Christians, like Catholics, Protestants, whatever, and they say, you've got the Bibles, and it's God said this, God did this, God says this. Well, with the Jehovah's Witnesses, theirs is Jehovah said this, Jehovah said this, Jehovah did. They believe that his name is Jehovah.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's his real name, where the other Christian religions refer to him as God. Except that, like Muslims, Allah and whatever, but most of the Christianity ones is God. They believe that his actual name is Jehovah. So,
but who christened him?
That name, like,
yeah, but I mean, why should you know the answer to this? But who christened him Jehovah? I mean, it can be whoever.
His mother, supposedly.
Well, God hasn't got a mother, has he?
Well, it's supposed to be the Immaculate Conception.
No. That's Jesus. That's Jesus who had. God was already there. Presumably Jehovah was already there. I don't know. There. Yeah. Well, it sounds like I'm taking the mickey, which is not fair.
No, I'm not either. But, I mean, it sounds like the old duck and cover job, doesn't it?
Well, it isn't yet the old duck and cover job. They are going to try out the system. And I'm rather pleased that they're going to try it out before they introduce it. Because if it doesn't work...
Yeah, but I mean, I was making a bit of a funny there, like when I said, do they know something that we don't? Like,
well, yes, they do.
People are going to kick off, like, and they say, well, we'll start this up, and it's a bit, it's like the old duck and cover, but on the mobile.
Well, if they do know something, if they do know something, they're creating a process by which they can share that information with us when necessary.
Yeah, but come on, Alan, the old duck and cover, mate. And just say, you see a flash, kiss your ass goodbye, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, yes, it is.
But 3 minute warning wasn't worth a carrot, was it?
Well, I think it was 4, but no, I don't think it was about that. I don't think this is about that. But it might be, in which case, goodbye.
Okie doke. See you later.
How do, Bob?
Oh, hello. I'm just going to give you some input and direction for you from your callers about 20 minutes ago on lasting powers of attorney.
Right.
It's a field of my work that I get involved with, so just to help you, the caller out, there's 2 types. And two ways of doing it. The 2 types are that they relate to your property and finance, and then the second type is one that deals with your health and welfare. So on the first type, the property and finances, that deals with everything related to your money and transactions and everything else in your day-to-day activities that you can't undertake if you're incapacitated with ill health. Now you can go about it in two formats of how you want it set up. You can do it jointly and severally, whereby the 2 replacement people who step into your shoes can act independently as joint means. So, say your 2 kids can act independently, where you might have harmony in the family, or you can set it up on what they call a jointly basis, where the appointees, the attorneys, have to work together. Where, for example, there's disharmony in the family, so there's got to be a joint decision. So there's 2 ways of setting it up.
Is it possible to set up a hierarchy? Because jointly and severally means they can both act independent of the other, which of course could end up being contradictory and therefore confusing and making everything not happen. Or the second one, which you referred to, where they are required to agree, so they have to have unanimity. Is there a third one where you can say, I want person A to have total, on both elements, just to keep it simple, on both health and finance, I want person A to be the person that makes the final decision. They have the power. And the second one is a subordinate power.
No, you have to have it on a severally basis, so the two can act that way. But it's similar to the way your will's written, where or ownership of your property, you can own it jointly, or you can own it jointly and severally, and then carve out the house. So, but the important bit really, it's such a vital document because it deals with one. There's 2 sides of it. One that deals with your property and finance, which is one aspect of it. The second one is health and welfare. And the second one is quite important because it makes life and death decisions if you've lost mental and physical incapacity. So it's quite an important role, and it's well policed because when you set it up, you, the donor who set up the arrangement, appoint people, but you've got to send out a letter somebody independent, so that you've not been seen to be coerced into setting that up. They will confirm that you have capacity at the time of doing that, and that you've appointed these people in, at the time in sound mind. So it's a essential document, because in the absence of it, the family have to apply to the Office of the Public Guardian for payment of various bits and bats to the household whilst you're in hospital, and they're overwhelmed. It takes about 2 to 3 months to get a decision out of them. And
government department that's overwhelmed, Bob. You're stunning us all with that information. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I thank you very much for joining the conversation and giving us the headlines, but we must end it there because the programme's coming to an end. But Bob, thank you very much. Gary, I'm sorry I didn't get to you. I've been Beswick, you've all been absolutely brilliant. See you next Saturday at 10. Till then, have a cracker. Ta-ra.
BBC News at 1 o'clock. This is Matthew Carter. Switzerland's biggest bank, UBS, has agreed to take over its rival Credit Suisse as uncertainty continues on global financial markets. The £2.5 billion deal was made after emergency talks over the weekend. Switzerland's central bank is backing the deal with a lifeline of up to £90 billion. The chair of Credit Suisse, Alex Lehmann, said the takeover was a bad day for Switzerland.
Today marks a clear turning point. It is an historic, sad and extremely challenging day for Credit Suisse, for Switzerland and the global financial markets. Since I took over as chair of the board around a year ago, it was clear that it can't continue as before.
Ukraine has condemned President Putin's visit to the devastated city of Mariupol. An aide to President Zelensky said he was a criminal returning to the crime scene. West Midlands police have appealed for witnesses after a 15-year-old girl died from injuries she sustained in a collision with a bus in Birmingham. They want to hear from anyone who might have dashcam footage of the incident in the Sheldon area. Information obtained by the Liberal Democrats suggests more than 100 Metropolitan Police officers who are being investigated for domestic abuse or sexual misconduct are being allowed to remain on normal duties. The force is awaiting the release of what's expected to be a highly critical report by Dame Louise Casey on the culture within the Met, which was prompted by the murder of Sarah Everard by a serving officer, Wayne Couzens. Our Home Affairs correspondent June Kelly reports.
The figures obtained by the Liberal Democrats show that in the first week of February, a total of 548 Met police officers were under investigation for domestic abuse, sexual misconduct, or in some cases, both. Some of these complaints were from the public. Others involved allegations from colleagues. Almost 100 of those accused had left the force. 70 officers had been suspended, more than 200 were on restricted duties, and 144 were still working normally. Ahead of what is set to be a damaging week for the Met, it's stressing it's already taking steps to try to rebuild trust in the force.
The retail group John Lewis is said to be considering a change to the decades-old structure under which it's fully owned by its staff. The BBC understands the company is looking at selling a stake to raise investment money. Football and Grimsby Town's fairy tale FA Cup run ended with a bump as they were beaten 5-0 in the quarter-finals by Brighton. The 18-year-old Brighton striker, Evan Ferguson, scored twice in the game.
Yeah, I think it's the result we were looking for. I think at the start, we obviously wanted to go to the Wembley, so we have to get to the semi-finals. And today, it wasn't an easy game because teams like that, when they say, you have to try and break them down, but good result.
Elsewhere in the FA Cup, Manchester United won 3-1 against Fulham and Sheffield United beat Blackburn 3-2 in the other knockout ties. And that's the BBC News. It is 3 minutes.